Hello, everyone. You're about to start watching Self Care Infinity. For more information on Self Care Infinity and the resources, go to my official Instagram page, official Ray Galvan. These are the final two episodes of the series, and I'm very fortunate for you guys to be able to see them. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is another episode of Self Care Infinity, and I am here with Aurora Hernandez. Say hi, Aurora.
Hey. Hi, everybody.
Thank you for being with us today. You're pretty good with self care, so I'm ready for you to share with us what you do. And thank you. Thank you again for coming.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So, my first question is, what does self care mean to you?
So, self-care for me, um, more than anything, is something to take care of your body and your mind, in a way, be in center with yourself, um, in a way, stress-free. So, some of the things that I think that are self-care that I like to do is sometimes when I come from work or from anywhere that sometimes can be a little hectic, it's just winding down with tea, or sometimes I do like to binge watch, but sometimes it can just be some kind of like self-reflect YouTube video, or even write. I haven't written down a lot in my diary lately, but that's something that I like to do on and off at times when I really do feel stressed out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, for me, self care is basically like kind of like you said, like taking care of yourself and making sure you put yourself as a priority during that time.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had like a self care day where I didn't worry about school or anything. I just did what I wanted to do for myself, and it was really relaxing. Because especially for I think college students and people who are working currently in the pandemic, we're all kind of anxious right now. We're all kind of really stressed out. We don't know what's gonna happen next, so we should take advantage of that, like to take those days to ourselves, which I am fortunate to be able to take that time. Not everyone is. Everyone is, grinding and getting their work done. They don't have that um privilege. So, but when you do have the time, make sure you take that time to yourself. You mentioned some great things that you do. I I think binge watching is a huge one for me. Like, I'll just binge watch my show and like keep binge watching,
Yeah.
and I'll feel like relaxed, or it depends on the show. I'll probably, if it's a show that makes you cry, I'll probably be crying. Um, so
Yeah.
you just do what you got to do. I mean,
If I could share something, I think maybe I want to say 2 years ago, I didn't start out as a self-care routine in a way, but I used to, even now sometimes, but back then I was stressed out in the sense like I can't lose weight. And I would search on YouTube like how to lose weight, da da da, and sometimes even how to lose weight fast. It obviously does not work that way. But anyways, I came across this video, this YouTuber, she's called Beautiful Brown Baby Doll. And she's an amazing, awesome person. I wish I would meet in person. She does a lot of routines about getting healthier and with a healthy mind, not in a sense like, oh, absolutely don't eat this because,
mm,
it's like do your own thing. And aside from that, slowly but surely, she's progressively added onto her videos of a lot of self care routine and tips. And sometimes when I'm about to shower, I turn her on to like just hear her how like what she does with how does she I'm sorry, what routine does she do to make herself feel more at peace, more centered? And I kind of follow a lot of those routines, I think, to kind of center myself, after this whole, no, I mean, we're dealing with it now, the pandemic. It's really on and off taking a toll on me. Sometimes I can feel super down. Um, I think I'm a very emotional person, and it shows. It shows even at work. Sometimes they ask me, or my partner, and sometimes it's even hard to really share because it's something that I don't think a lot of people have would have expected that the pandemic is something that was gonna go away in 2 weeks. You
Yeah.
know, I remember pandemic or like, oh, it's just gonna last a month or whatever. Like, okay, I can deal with that. 3 months
Yeah.
after, uh, for the longest, it felt like I was still in the month of April. And
Hmm.
it was really harsh for me. Like I would see to my right, I would see to my left, like, where's everybody else at work? So I would always go back into watching beautiful brown babies all, or even trying to listen to soothing jazz or like soothing music. A lot of communication, a lot of talking to express those emotions, as
Yeah,
well as
definitely.
like writing it down. I didn't do that much a lot, like write stuff down, but I still had my diary next to me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that we those are some things that I know I do and some things other people do, especially during this. We're living in very critical times, not just the pandemic, but because of everything that's going on in the world. It feels like, with what happened with George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, what's going on with this upcoming election. There is, with self care, it's important to sort of take that time to kind of distance yourself from that news, which is very difficult because for me, like I wanted to be informed about everything that was going on, especially with the pandemic. So I would wake up every morning, and the first thing I would do is go on Twitter because that's my news source. That's how I get my news. And every day it would be trending like, oh, there's been a spike in Los Angeles. There's been more deaths. There was always something new, and like while it was great to be informed about it. Um, I felt drained from it, if I'm being honest. It's draining. You're seeing, like, realistically the world is not perfect and not everything's good, but it is draining having to wake up every morning and just see news of whatever devastation was going on, you know? So I think this pandemic like kind of opened my eyes on, that I wasn't taking care of myself properly mentally and emotionally. And that's when I began to do, more social media breaks than I ever did before, because I was just like, I can't be on social media or I'll be like really angry. I'll be like really sad. That's not something I can fix. Like the problems and what's going on, if I don't have a way of fixing it, the least I can do is make sure I'm well enough so I can find a way to fix it. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like you so like, taking those breaks on social media and just like watching YouTube videos or watching shows or hearing music. Hearing music was probably a big thing for me because I think it's a big thing for everybody. I can't imagine a world without music. Like for me, I'd be like, what is going on? Like, so for me, like music has always been my consistent thing throughout this whole pandemic and just like everything that's been going on, just in general. Um, I like to listen to music that depends on my mood so I can feel better. So if let's say if something sad is going on or I feel sad, I'll listen to the sad music only because I want to go through the emotion so I can get out from it. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
if I you gotta feel those emotions so you can kind of move past it or like flow out of it in a way. Um I think, like I said, I think everything you mentioned was great. That's the YouTuber is definitely a good recommendation, I guess. Oh, we should all
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll go ahead and even send you her YouTube page. She's pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah.
she lives in Texas. She's a professor. She has so many, like, I think she has 2 doctorates or like 1 PhD, something like that. Besides the point that she's like super amazing, like she has a beautiful backstory too. And like her mom, she always goes back to her mom, her roots of who she is now because of her mom, her family. And that's something that's very grounded to me because, through this whole thing, like I don't live with my parents. They live in LA, I live here. It can sometimes get lonely, but just with phone, a phone call away, I do feel grounded when I talk to my mom. I
Yeah.
try to talk to her every night after work, mostly after work, but um, her voice always soothes my mind. And that's for me, I can even say that's part of my self care routine as well, because, she just makes me feel cozy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. You brought up two good points. The first one is going back to what we were talking about earlier about the initial reason why you would watch the YouTuber that you watched, which was, I think a lot of the time right now we're isolated and we're stuck in our houses. And well, for those of us who have nothing to do, the one thing we do is overthink a lot. And when we overthink, we start to nitpick ourselves. And for me, I know personally, for me, I become a bit more insecure about how I look, specifically like body image wise. Like, and for me, like that was kind of like a struggle because we're more isolated during this pandemic, which meant for a lot of people they were eating out more. They were like ordering in more, or they were just eating more in general because of how stressed they were, how sad they were, and like I say this just because I've spoken to a lot of friends who felt this way. Um, we our confidence in ourselves kind of goes down because we're isolating ourselves and we're not thinking much about anything else. So I think for me, what I did was I began to go for my daily walk. So like I do a daily walk every day around the school near my
Sorry.
house. It's okay. And that's my form of exercise. And not only exercise, but it's like a stress reliever. I let out all the stress from whatever that the day has for me. So I think it is important to exercise, and not just to exercise, but to eat healthy and make sure that you're not eating out so much. You're eating your fruits and vegetables. You're drinking your water and like all these important things. Um, the second point, I just lost my train of thought. I forgot what the second point was. What was the last thing you said? I think, oh, your parents, your mom.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think like what a lot of people underestimate is that, sorry about the noise if you hear it. um, is that we do need that human contact, and that's what a lot of people have been struggling with. Just
Yeah.
being able to, talk to people, whether it's through Zoom, through FaceTime. Like we we crave the physicality of the person, and it's really hard for everybody to um deal with not seeing those people anymore, you know? And when I say anymore, I mean, obviously we're going to see them again, but now in a different capacity. Like, obviously we have to take precautions or we have to see them even less than before. But, um, like, we do need the physicality of that person. And that's why I think a lot of people are struggling right now with, like, this idea of, like, oh, they can't go out because they want to see their friends, they want to see their family members. But at the same time, you have to be kind of careful, like, COVID wise, like you don't want to, infect people or, whatever that is. Um, those, I think that's very important though, like to talk to people, like whether it's virtually or at a safe distance at least. I know people who like told me they go to parks with their friends, but they all are like socially distanced, you know? Um, yeah, that's important to have like a sort of routine as well. The fact that you mentioned like, oh, most of the time like after work you call your mom at least. I think that's a good routine to establish, not just like for you but for everybody. Like, oh, maybe like after work you can talk to your friend through FaceTime, or maybe you could text your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah,
Just be able to have some kind of connect, like interaction or connection, if you want or if you don't want to. It depends. But I think those are valid points you brought up. um and at the end of the day, like how you feel and what you think matters a lot. And it's okay to feel like, it's okay to feel all those things. You gotta embrace it.
definitely, definitely. I really agree with what you're saying, that human contact has been difficult these past few months, especially like physically touch, you know. Um, but I'm sure it's gonna be over, you know, and after that, it's, at least for now, like you're saying, it's gonna go ahead and it's making us now reflect on the type of person we are and how can we become a better person for ourselves and for the people we love around, to just become a better person overall, I feel, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know like a lot of people, I know like especially me, like I had like plans of stuff I wanted to do in this year. Like
Yeah,
as soon as the new year hit, I was like, I'm not gonna have resolutions, but I'm gonna have stuff that I'm actually gonna do. Like I'm gonna set it in motion, and that's it. But then the pandemic hit, and that kind of detoured all those plans.
yeah,
I think this year is an important year because it helps to raise self-awareness and just raise awareness for like what you actually need, like what you actually need to do for yourself. Like, yeah, I'm sad about what didn't happen, but I'm happy about what did end up happening. I have a stronger bond with my family, for example. I have a better communication with my friends. I have a better sense of value for myself. This may be a terrible year, but there are some silver linings that do come out of it. And that's why I'm doing this series, because it's important to shed light on the importance of self-care. We gotta take care of ourselves, and we gotta do it. And I don't know what's the word, but we gotta do it in a responsible, healthy, and I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah. And yeah.
yeah. A responsible, healthy direction. I hope we can all do that. And how you said at the beginning of our conversation, a lot of us are privileged just to even sit down and have this conversation. um, I think I'm very thankful for that, the fact that I have a job, I have a roof over my head. I'm thankful for the people that love me and the people I love back, the people that care for me.
Mhm.
I love my partner. I love my parents, my sister, my friends. I'm thankful. I'm deeply thankful for that I can go ahead and reach out to them, you know.
Definitely. All right. So you mentioned some tips. Do you have other tips for self care?
Yeah, so I'm not, let me go ahead and start off with this because I'm not the best person with caring for plants. But over the past few months, I've actually collected and bought a few plants.
Mhm.
So how bad I am with plants, but I read like it doesn't need a lot of water and light, which means I can help it live. But this is one of my plants,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
I usually keep it at the front as soon as I get in from
Mm.
my apartment. Um, so I haven't switched it over,
Yeah.
but exotic angel plants. It's it's from Brazil. It's a Brazilian plant. That's all I know.
Okay.
Um, so that's one. The other one, it's a snake plant. So if you don't know much about snake plants, they obviously don't need a lot of light and water either, so they can live longer, at least in my house.
Mhm.
The other one, I don't know the name of it, but it's actually grown pretty nice. Let me go ahead and show you. Give me a sec.
Yeah.
This was the first one that I bought, I think maybe 3 months ago. So I really love this
Oh,
plant.
that one looks nice.
I really love it. And I got it because it has different colors. So it's kind of reddish, yellowish, even
Yeah.
orange. So when I first saw it at Lowe's, I fell in love with it, and I knew I had to take her home because, you know, part of like the self-care, oops, sorry, part of like the self-care, it's doing something that you makes you happy. So my first instinct was like, I hope I don't kill this plant. I'm gonna take you, you know. And yeah, it hasn't died on me. I think I've watered it pretty nicely. Sometimes even Javier, my boyfriend, will remind me like, "Did you water your plants?" Oh yeah, let me go back. um, so that's also part of my self care routine.
Yeah.
Taking care of my plants. Um,
Okay.
the other ones is if you look around my table, it's kind of hectic right now. But you want me to show them,
Yeah, you can
or
show them.
do you want to just? Okay, so I'm just gonna show around the
Yeah.
table how I look, how I try to set it up. Let me take care of this. So you'll see my breakfast, but you'll also see like a whole bunch of boxes, which are just teas. And then on this side, I have um, my other stuff here. And I don't know if you saw my dog there, but she's laying down. Um, so
Pets
yeah,
are
but
another form of self care.
yeah, my doggies.
Yeah.
One, I have her here. She's just chilling next to me, and the other one is chilling over there. But
Mhm.
yeah, teas and coffee. I love coffee. I Yes, even though coffee has caffeine in it and can sometimes get you really hyper or not so much on a stress-free mood, it somehow makes me feel calm as well.
Mhm.
But teas, I grew up with teas because of my mom.
Mhm.
So it was a sort of a ailment thing. So as a woman, sometimes I would get cramps, and my mom would always go ahead and make me a tea. So one of the teas that I grew up with the most and made me feel always um, cozy. And when I drink this tea, I actually think of her. It's
Yeah.
and I'll say it in Spanish because that's the only way I grew up listening to up until a few years ago. Té de manzanilla, chamomile tea.
Yeah.
I love this tea, especially with honey. I don't drink it so much with honey now. I
Mhm.
actually try to drink it sugar free,
Yeah.
but this is the best tea for me growing up with.
Mhm.
Um,
Dis- by the way, disclaimer: if you see
and she
me
loves
waving
it's a
my hands
chamomile
around,
lavender.
it's because of a fly. I keep, yeah, this fly is bothering me. Okay, go ahead.
I have the chamomile lavender.
Okay.
So the té de lavanda is one of the best teas ever. Even the siete azares, it totally just calms your nerves and makes you go to sleep. So if you really had like a stressful day, drinking like 2 packets of like the siete azares or té de lavanda, it just kind of knocks you down, or it just relaxes your whole body physically.
Yeah.
Then I have like a whole bunch that I recently got. This one, Decaf Chai Tea. I actually have been drinking this for the past few days in the night with a little bit of almond milk. And this one, I actually love this one. Oh, there you go. This one, it almost tastes like you put sugar in it. It's
Mm-hmm.
sweet without like putting anything in it. It's really good. I like this one too. Um, and then I have my green tea. This is my green tea, which is loose leaf. You know, I'm sure it's loose leaf tea is way better than like packaged. What? Why is just because recycling um, plastic and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still need to work on that, I think. But if you can see like the loose leaf,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Um, so I have that, and this will probably last me for probably more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one of my favorite ones, jasmine tea. It's very aromatic. That's why I really love this one, just because it's so aromatic for me, and it's also loose leaf as well. So
Yeah.
just like do the sprinklies. So yeah, those are part of my collection. Cause oops, that's all part of my collection for teeth. I think I have a lot more, and one of the ones that I came across last year was when my boyfriend he went to Mexico and he brought back this tea called Te Amargo. We don't drink it as much, but it's also for, in a way, calming your nerves. So this is how it looks as well. It's loose leaf tea.
Okay.
So it's,
Never
it's
heard of that
very
one.
bitter.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very, very bitter. But it almost instantly numbs your tongue,
Mm-hmm.
but it also you feel kind of relaxing. Um, I haven't drank in it. I haven't tasted this in a long time, but I'm sure like it's very good for you as well.
Yeah.
Um, and this is a different type of tea, the de amargo. Just it looks just different.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then for my coffee, I have this a French press.
Oh, fancy.
Oh yeah, it's kind of broken, but I use
That's
it
it.
on and off.
Yeah.
And yeah, another thing that I like to use as well, just to put me in a relaxing mood, is putting up an incense or just lighting up a candle that smells like has a nice smell for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this one I came across over when I was in middle school, walking down the streets of downtown LA. I was just wandering off, and I came into this whole section that this guy had, which was just incense, and one that I like. I instantly wanted was this one.
Oh.
So it smells really good. Um, Now where I get it is not in downtown LA. I actually get it at somewhere else, but
Mm-hmm.
it's relatively cheap and it's pretty good. It smells really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then just like the last thing that I have here is just my journal. So even I even got it. I got it like this just because I kind of like shades of blue and purple, mostly purple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll put random thoughts here or kind of routines that I want to follow eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then I even bought myself like markers just to
Yeah.
make me feel good about why I'm doing it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So regarding the teas, do you base where you want to drink based off like whatever mood it is, or it's like generally the one that you use the most?
no, definitely. It's when I know for sure sometimes I feel when I feel down, I think coffee kind of lights me
Mm-hmm.
up, puts me in a better mood. And that's why I bought my French press so I can go ahead and do cold brewed coffee. So
Yeah.
sometimes, not all the times, I like to drink hot coffee, especially on our hot days.
Mm-hmm.
So when I drink like cold coffee, it just gives me energy, makes me feel a little better. But for days that I want to kind of wind me down, not think about anything, just myself, reflect that I can be a better person the next day. Can be chamomile tea, even the calming tea.
Yeah.
Um, you know, or I really enjoyed the chai tea. Also, I think I've also mentioned to you, I looked up this recipe about the golden milk,
Oh, I think
which
you
is
might
like,
have mentioned it.
yeah, it has turmeric, it has a lot of different spices, and then you just kind of warm it up with almond milk. At least that's what I like to drink now. I prefer almond milk or even coconut milk or the oatmeal milk. Um,
All the milks except
yeah,
for the milk.
and then just put up a whole bunch of spices.
Yeah.
Yeah. um, yeah, just to make me feel cozy, warm and cozy. So yeah, it depends on the mood that I'm in. And then I'll like say like, oh, I want to choose chamomile tea or lavender tea
Yeah.
or mint tea.
Mhm.
I know mint tea makes you feel very um, uplift your mood, I think. And it also kind of soothes your stomach if you have like a stomach ache.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think those are great teas and alternatives for
Yeah.
people. I think when a lot of people think of self care, they think about like I guess the physical aspects, but they don't think about like, oh, like what can I drink or eat, you know? Well, they'll think about eating, I guess. They'll think like, oh, I'm gonna eat ice cream, but they won't think about like, oh, I'll drink tea, which is a healthy alternative, and
Yeah.
coffee as well. I like that you brought up how yes, coffee does have caffeine, and that can be a bit bad, but you also brought up the pros with that. Um, Journaling is also great. I I have a journal. I have a couple of journals, let's be honest. They're not filled out. They look nice. They got to be filled out. I think for journaling, one thing I've learned through these episodes with other people is that you don't have to be consistent with it. I always thought you had to be, but you can just write in it whenever you feel like it, you know?
Sure.
It'd be great if you were consistent, but if you don't have the time or if you don't feel like it, it's fine, you know? But I like how you brought different like colored markers. I think a lot of people like to when they're journaling, they like to be creative about it, like different colors, based on moods, based on thoughts, or just to make it look nice. Um, I thought of bullet journaling when you brought up the markers. I don't know if you know what that is. Do you or
Like the journals with the little dots. Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, that's what this journal is. That's why I also got it because if you see it, it's like, well, you can't really tell, but it has
yeah,
dots,
yeah,
and it's easier at least when writing, as opposed to like a blank page, because I tend to go downwards or I write too big and then I write too small,
yeah,
or the other way around. But at
yeah,
least that's how it helps me write, or when I try to draw something.
yeah. I think all those tips are really great. Um, yeah. So now we're gonna go on and do our little segment. So time for infinite tips. So our first infinite tip is from Nicole Tahar. She's an old friend of ours. Um, so she said, personally, I've been trying to make sure I stay active. I eat properly, like meat, veggies, and fruit. I also try not to be on social media as much by starting projects. It depends on each person, but I found learning how to cook new things has been very fulfilling. So I think she brought up some great tips. Starting new projects. I like that one because right now I'm starting this project and I'm starting another project that will be coming out regarding voting. Um, but yeah, when you start a new project, just in general, whether it's crafts, arts, um, series like this, photography, coloring, puzzles, anything like that, those are really
Mm.
helpful because not only are they productive and constructive, but they're also they help distract you for a bit. And when you're distracted by doing a project, you're really immersed into it and you're really passionate about it and you're like really into it. I thought that was a great tip. She also shared eating healthy, make sure you're staying active, which I think is very important. Like when you do your self care day, it's fine, I guess, to just lay around for a bit. You can have that day, definitely have that day. It's because it's based on what you need, but also make sure you're being physically healthy and fit because you don't want to slip up and put yourself, in danger of being unhealthy. Self-care is not just mental, but it's also physical and emotional. She brings up social media, which I think for a lot of people, it's I don't know what's the word. I guess complicated because, well, yes, we want to stay on it because it's like really nice to see like other people's posts.
Yeah.
It's also a bit draining sometimes. It's also a bit, I know from experience, like I had like a toxic time on it because, like you start to overthink a lot when you're on the app, whatever app it is. But yeah, definitely taking some time off of social media does help. Um, yeah, those are some tips that I thought were great. Um, I have another person too who shared tips. Let's see. And if you wanted to add on to that, you can if you've had thoughts about it.
No, definitely. I think I've tried to, over the past few months, not me and my boyfriend have tried to change our lifestyle, our health lifestyle. Eat healthier. I love going through a drive-through, especially McDonald's or anything that's fast food. But in the end, if you eat that every single day, have it's gonna add on to, one, you're gonna gain weight. Two, you're gonna mentally and physically feel drained because you're eating all these bad things. Three, it's gonna take a hit on your health. Like, at least in my family, diabetes runs high blood pressure. A lot of,
Mine too. Yeah.
those things that can really affect myself and my future generation. If I ever have kids, I wouldn't want to affect myself and, my children in that sense. But yeah, I think we've tried to avoid McDonald's a lot. At least that was our go-to, or pizza. God, I love pizza. Like, I really love it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've slowly changed our that mentality. I think one of the things that has that I've really tried to change is also eating a lot of sweets.
Yeah.
At first, I can say like, oh, it's an excuse for self-care and like it makes me feel good. Yeah, it does make me feel good because it's something that I like, but it's also bad for me because it's, one, like, I think you can get cavities. Two, your health.
Yeah.
Three, eating a lot of sweet chocolate, it's not good for you. So I've
Yeah.
tried to avoid that as well.
Yeah. I
Like,
think
that's more than enough.
I think that's good that you brought up that you also like you're not just doing it for yourself, you're also doing it for other people, but you're also asking like kind of like asking your partner to join along on this journey of like making sure you eat healthy or staying fit because I have a similar situation where I have my family, like part of the family, we kind of band together and we're like, okay, we're not gonna go eat out as much. Let's eat more healthy. So let's make more stuff. Let's cook some new things. Um, you know, it's great when people tag along in a sense or like they invite other people to start a new lifestyle or a new habit. And I think self care is a lot of about self care is developing a new perspective or mindset, one that benefits you on the long run, and one that's very good for you. You know, you want to develop healthier habits. You want to have a positive mindset. You want to have a better way of coping with things. That's what a lot of self care is about, and I think that's fantastic that you mentioned that. Like, oh, we're trying to make an effort not going to McDonald's, or making sure we don't go to eat pizza.
It's crazy because, he's the one that said, let's do this together. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he came up to me, I thought I think I can do a lot of self care things, but the fact that he came to me and then we're trying to work together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big thing, like, because as partners being together, like, you have to stay strong. In a way, it's made me feel like we've come a long way and built a stronger bond for each other. So
Definitely.
yeah, I definitely appreciate him for that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So a second tip I have is from from my friend Karen. She said, make sure you set time aside for yourself every day, at least 15 minutes, whether it's to read, write, meditate, or reflect. Make sure to go outside, even if it's just to take a walk or sit on your porch, backyard, especially now because of quarantine. I feel like staying inside all day can be draining and can cause you to be unmotivated. Also, getting enough sleep and making sure you have a schedule for your day, practicing time management to reduce stress. I think those are all great tips. As always, time management is a big one. I learned this during this pandemic. I have a set schedule, kind of. You know, like for sure, I know I have to go for my walk at 6 p.m. I have a reminder on my watch, and it reminds me every time, like, go for your walk. If I don't go for my walk, like, that throws off the system I have going on. So like,
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, I take a shower, get ready, make sure I eat breakfast, do my homework up to a certain time, get lunch, take some time to myself, and then continue that process and do whatever else I need. Having a set schedule is really, it's a good thing to have. And I know, like, some people don't like that. They don't like having a set schedule. They want to run free, and that's fine. But I think having a set schedule sometimes, believe it or not, it does reduce stress. I know, like, a lot of people, when they think of schedules, they think, oh god, like it's stressful. Like, I'm not gonna make it on time for this, or I just I went past the time I needed to do something, you know? But time management is, believe it or not, really important, you know? Like for me, for school, like I bought an agenda, and that has saved me so much because, believe it or not, I had a tendency, I think last year, to forget my assignments. And like I would forget my assignments, and they were due. And I'll be like, well, why did I forget? So I think that tip was really great. Her talking about going outside is important. I like to go outside too. Making
Yeah.
sure you get enough sleep, and then making sure you set aside time aside for at least 15 minutes. That's a great one.
Yeah. And now I know that at least at the beginning of March, April, May, June, going outside was something that we could do, yes, but we had to really think, like, man, like, this is gonna, I can get the virus if I actually go outside.
Yeah,
So I feel that that kind of took a toll on a lot of people. However, now I think it's slowly but surely progressing in a sense, like, things are opening up more and you can protect yourself more. There are different ways, different options. You can even go outside. You don't have to go outside and go crazy, but you can at least for me, I have a big window, and just opening it up with the blinds, getting that sun a little bit, it just lifts up my mood. Um, you know, Same thing with going outside. I try to do that as well, especially when I walk my dogs, just like 5-10 minutes so they can also get fresh air. So that's a good tip, I think.
Yeah, those are all great tips.
Yeah.
So before we go and end this, I just wanted I can't speak today. I wanted to share our important resource of the day. So for this one, it's actually an Instagram page that I think people should follow. Okay. So the Instagram page in question is called So You Want to Talk About. So You Want to Talk About is very important because it talks about political and social issues. And I think when people probably first hear that first part, political, they might get turned off. But it's been great because it keeps you informed about not just political issues, but social issues and things that you need to think about. For example, today they had one just appropriately called self care. And the thing with So You Want to Talk About is they each have a source. They never post anything unless they have a source. So all the tips or all the information they have, it's all sourced really well. So if you want to check out So You Want to Talk About it, it's I think it's a great page to follow. You can set up notifications or whatever you need to do, and you can learn more than just politics. You can learn about things like So You Want to Talk About good news, because right now we're dealing with like a lot of bad news, but it's good that they also talk about good news. You can also talk
Yeah.
about, you know, let's see what else. It talks about important issues like sexual harassment, things we should normalize, social suicide prevention, um, mental illness and police, or like cognitive dissonance. So, or destigmatizing mental health, which is I think is an important one. Because like not a lot of guys like to talk about their mental health. But yeah, it's an incredible page on Instagram that I think people should follow. It's called So You Want to Talk About. But yeah, that's gonna be our resource of the day. So let's see.
I'll definitely look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
So
page.
I can go ahead and add them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I follow a few self-reflecting pages
Yeah.
just on a daily basis. Oh, and the reason why, let me just go back real quick to this brand of tea and this one is because when you open the tea, it gives you a really awesome note. For example, I randomly opened this one. It says, happiness is actually an art of living, which is in us. And honestly, that kind of makes my day in the sense like
So
it always has like a little cute note,
yeah.
or rather an uplifting note that makes you feel good, or that makes you reflect based upon your day. Like if you had maybe a crappy day, you didn't smile at all, this would probably make you feel a little bit better, or at least reflect like, you know what, maybe today didn't go as expected. However, there's always tomorrow
Mhm.
and you can start again.
Yeah.
So,
It's like
yeah.
fortune cookies with positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Aurora, for joining us for this. This has been a great conversation as always. I hope I hope people take away from what you said. I know I did as always. So thanks again for doing this.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you.